this is pretty short. Chapter 41, which is Mem Aleph. Really quite short. It's interesting. This begins a series of kapitla that use the word maskil, but they use it as maskil the David. In this one, it says the first pasuk is Ashrei maskil el dal, and if you go to the next one, it's Lamnatzeach maskil nekoirach, and then that has like a second. Yom Gimel is really a second section to that, a continuation of that one, and then you got Memdal is Lamnatzeach nekoirach maskil. So this maskil word comes up a good few times in succession. And then also memhei, koyach maskil yedida. So the word maskil comes up a few times, and it's interesting what that represents. So he wants to say in Kam Sipor that it's talking about. That's the Ora Chachma. Of course, Maskil is talking about Satan. It's talking about the intellect. So it's coming from Malchus, but it's specifically talking about Yesoid of Malchus, which is that's what the aspect of Chachma. I'm sorry, the Yesoid of Zer Anpin or something. It's difficult to say to figure out exactly what he's talking about. He says that it's the Yesod of Zera Anpin, so it's talking about an inyan of hashpur. There's a giving over taking place. So it's starting with Maskil is an idea of Chachma. So Chachma is shining down through Yesod and being mashpia on Malchus, which is Dal. Dal is usually a lesson of weakness, the weaker aspect. So when Malchus is Shechina is in a compromised situation, so it's called Dal. And this is talking about bringing it up to the level of a zivik, as we're usually talking about. So when the Malchus of the Shechina is on a level of Dal in the Golis, in the exile, so we're trying to to elevate it to the point where it can have a zivig with Zach and the cave of the masculine and the feminine, and it should become again, because at that time it's very choshev, it's very important in the eyes of Hashem, and we're also talking about the inyan of the time when the neshama goes out of the body. So anyway, I just wanted to mention this idea of maskil el dal is used in some I just saw it used in the context. Today is Shaya Kerestira's Yortzeit, and they were talking about that he was what's called a maskil el dal, means a person who uses his he deals with poor people in a smart way, like with a certain understanding of how to handle them and how to do things. The whole idea of when you're dealing with poor people or whatever, in a difficult situation, so you have to treat them very sensitively, very, very, very delicately, and hopefully in a way that it shouldn't be so obvious that you're doing a favor for them. I heard a story about this in regards to in Muncie. There's a shul called Toshnad that was a Tehillim in Czechoslovakia, yeshiva in Czechoslovakia before the war. And apparently continued throughout the war. It was some kind of amazing thing. He was telling this story about his grandfather or something had this yeshiva, and he wanted to buy shoes for one of his students, but he didn't want to make it obvious he was giving to him as a gift because he would feel embarrassed. So he said that he had bought a pair of shoes that was too big for him or something, or didn't fit him, and that he gave it over as a gift to do me a favor and take this off my hands, that kind of thing. So he was giving it to this bacher as that he should help him out by taking these shoes that didn't fit him. In reality, he had got them for him as a because he knew that he needed them. So there's a strategy how to deal with people in a poor situation. That's a masculine of God. Anyway, so in this context. this is okay. So that's a kind of it's according to the spheres. It's what's going on here. But anyway, so the Shekhinah is Golis, and we have to bring it up. So I'm saying David Ashrei Maskil El Dal. So happy is the person that knows, that can bring you this idea of seichel down to the Shekhinah to be elevated her. B'yom ruah yimaltehi Hashem. And this, in a bad time, a bad day, Hashem will be able to rescue the Shekhinah in this context. But it's also talking about the idea of the day, the time that the neshama is departing from the guf. The soul is going out of the body. So that's called a Yom Ra. That's the actual day when it's nifter. So it's the at the time that the neshama is going out of the guf, the chitzonim, the klippus, the negative elements, negative forces want to jump in and get a hand in there. It wants to be able to chop the neshama, so to speak, to pull it down. And that's because the ikar of the chaim is the foundation of life is the light of chokhmah, of wisdom. And chokhmah is called the eitz chaim. It's called the tree of life. So it also says chokhmah techaya es be'alehu, that the wisdom enlivens the person who has it. So it's an idea of life. The whole idea of the light of the seichel, of the chokhmah, is connected to life itself. So he says, so Hashem says, I put in front of you the life which is good, as opposed to contrasted to death which is bad. So Ra comes out that that's an idea of death. Ra is associated with death. So, and we put the ore of the chokhmah, the light of wisdom, into the that it shines on all the days of his life. Then, if he's connected to the light of chokhmah all the days of his life, then at the day when he dies, which is the Yom Ruah, we're talking about Ram, referring to Misa, to death. Then he'll be connected to Hashem instead of being dragged down by the klippus, by the negative forces. So it's all dependent on how he lived. If he prepared himself throughout his life to be connected to Chokhmah, then that will shine on him even during the day of death, and will be able to rescue the neshama from the negative forces. Okay, so Hashem yishmerehi v'chayehi ve'isha ba'uretz ve'al titnei b'nefesh oiva. So if it's talking in that context, then it's saying that Hashem will protect his nefesh, his soul at that point, and it will enliven him for olam haba. It was because obviously the negative aspect of death is if you have to go to Gehenna, but if you go to Shemaim, if you go to Gan Eden, that's even a higher form of life. It's like raising up to an aspect of life that he didn't experience during his physical lifetime. So it's Isha ba'uretz. So he's going to be Vechayehi is going to enliven him. The Isha ba'uretz, and the uretz is talking about the Eretz Yoina, which is God referring to Gan Eden, the Olam HaNeshamas, where Michael, so the Michael, the angel, the Malach Michael, is considered. It's called the Kohen Gudel. That he's standing in Gan Eden, he's being makriv of the neshamas to Hashem. So he's called the Sar Yisroel. So he says the word the Ishar is a reference to the idea of Sar, of the officer, the Malach that's associated with the Yidden is Mechul, and he's the one who's being makriv. He's sacrificing or elevating these souls up to Hashem when they get into Gan Eden. So in Ba'uretz is talking about the Olam HaBriya. That's where they're going to be at that point, which is the dimension of Bria. The Altitnei v'nefesh oivav. So then, again, there's these oivav, the enemies want to chap this nefesh and take it down to the Gehenna. So he's going to rescue it from its enemies. So that's why. So the person that's maskil el dal, so who's a person who's using his seichel, and using the seichel to shine the wisdom on the Shechina, on Hashem's presence in the world, you will not allow the chitzonim, these enemies, to chas shalom chap the nefesh after its betila, after it leaves the world, and then it will live in Gan Eden. And even in this world, a person who didn't fall into katnas gomer, in other words, didn't fall into a total state of what's it called?
Restricted,
Katnas would be ignorance,
small-mindedness,
right? Ignorance or unconsciousness,
restricted consciousness,
right? That even a person who has not totally fallen into that state of being unconscious of Hashem altogether, unaware of Hashem altogether, so he. And therefore he still he still has to go on in this world, but he becomes ill. He becomes sick. But he's still because of some kind of chait and avera that he did. So he didn't die yet, but he's in a very bad shape in the world itself. So Hashem Yisadeni al eres devai. So literally that means that Hashem is going to support him on his sickbed. I won't say deathbed; we'll just say sickbed. Okay, here's the devai, because when it says when the yud, the letter yud, which is the part of the person which is it is connected to the idea of chokhmah, to wisdom. So when the yud is fallen into the mishkav, into lying down, into being in this weak state of sickness, of illness, and because there's no idea of having yisurim without chait, there's always some kind of an avera involved when a person has yisurim, when he is suffering. So therefore, this ora chachma is separated. It's departing from bina. Usually, the whole goal is that chachma and bina should be united. The two aspects of the intellect, the wisdom and understanding, whatever, they have to be united together. And when they're separated, which happens because a person does a chait or he's not in a position of a clear mind. So then that's also a meaning of masculine and feminine. So there's no circulation of life force between or uniting of this masculine and feminine aspects of the intellect, which is this chokhmah and bina, the wisdom and understanding. So they can't get together. So then there's nothing to shine because they're separated. So the chokhmah is like departed. The chokhmah is out of there. And now it can't shine on the Shechina, on this weak voice.
Shalom. I had Arabic in a shiur, so I couldn't leave.
At least you got here. Better late than never.
I'll sit that side. Okay. You started at 8?
Yeah, well, a little after.
If I come by bicycle, I can come a little bit earlier, but then I've got to go back and get the car.
Oh, you don't have to. Today, it's really got cold. So
yeah, wow. And I'm not wearing my long gatkes.
I also not prepared for that.
I am.
You got it.
Because yesterday, sorry for interrupting, it said it was going to be cold, but it was hot.
Yeah.
So I thought, today it's going to be hot. Anyway,
Proceed.
So we'll just a quick review. We're on capital 41.
41.
41. Yeah. This is the last capital of the first sefer, the first book of Tehillim. So that's kind of a landmark. Short capital, but it's very important. This is one. By the way, this is one of the capitals that we say for people when they're sick, because it's talking about
right.
Being
Not
sick.
71, 41.
There's a few of them, but this is one of those.
What is 41 in Hebrew?
Mem Aleph. So he's just talking about this idea. It's the idea of Asher Maskil El Dal. When the Shechina becomes weak, the way to save it is by connecting it with Chokhmah. So the light of the Chokhmah is able to bring a refuah, is able to heal the sick, because and we see that, there's all kinds of stories of tzaddikim that fell into illness or whatever, and then all of a sudden they got some kind of hisoyos and just got up from their sick bed and they were revived totally. Yeah, all kinds of. Okay, there's a lot of stories about. But there's a lot of Rebbe Shemaisis, things like that the people who got up from being very sick because of some kind of an intellectual hisoyos, that they were actually revived in a spiritual way because the whole thing here is that when a person becomes weak because of their averus, then they cut off from the intellect and the wisdom leaves them, and then there's no way to get out of this situation. So he says also in terms of when the neshama actually leaves the body, the day of death, which is Yom Ruah that is talking about. So also if a person is connecting himself with a lifetime with the seichel, with wisdom, then when they die, it will also save them from the hands of the enemies of the klippas that want to drag them down to Gehenna. It'll instead bring them to Gan Eden if they've been connected through their lives. Okay, trying not to move the table. It's a very, very shaktik table. It's not going to catch that. Okay, anyway. Okay, so we're talking about the Yud. So the Yud, the letter Yud, is connected with Chochmah, and that is that's involved here. This pasuk we're talking about. This is the fourth pasuk Dalet. Hashem Yisadeni al eres devai kol mishkavoy hofachto b'chol yoy. So it literally means that he's sitting, that Hashem supports him even on his sick bed, and reverses his illness. Even when he's lying there, he will you reversed his illness. So what does that mean, reversing? What's the idea of reversing? So it's a very, very interesting way he plays with this. So that which was on the level of Hashem, of Hey, the letter Hey, is talking about the Chamisha Chasudim, the 5 levels of Chesed. So he becomes Dalas. So it becomes weak. Because of that, he fell into, he's lying down. He doesn't have any strength. So because he took the letters from Yud, from the letter Yud, which Yud Vav Daled, he got instead the letters Davai. Okay? So Davai is an aspect of weakness. So the Oisios of the Din, I'm sorry. The letters Yud is the same letters as Davai. Right? And the Eser becomes Eris. So the letters from Eser, which is 10, becomes the word Eris. So Eris Davai is like the sick bed, So a person who's maskil.
Eris is also poison or not? No.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. So a person maskil El Dal Tomid. So a person who is maskil for the weak, he's trying to figure out how to help the weak. So because he fell to this level of sickness, or fell to a sickbed, whatever, because of some aveira he did. So it says Hashem Yisadeni al eres devai, that Hashem is going to support him on this sickbed, literally, and that kol mishkova v'chachta b'chol yoy. So he's going to reverse the letters of Yud. So from the letters of Yud, it becomes now the letters of Devai. And from Eser, it becomes Eris. He's switching letters around. So now it's become, instead of being Yud and Eser, I think it's very, very ingenious the way he sees this here. Yud is the letter Yud is the Gematria Eser, right? Is the Yud refers to the number 10. So Yud is supposed to be Eser, but instead it got flipped around to become Eris Devai. You see that?
Yeah.
Yud is the letters Eser. Yud Devai is the letters Yud, which is Eser, reversed, and Eris is the letters of Eser, which is reversed to become Eris. A lot of times in Chassidish Meforshim, you see that the fact that letters are reversed, the order of the letters are reversed, indicates that it has like the opposite effect. So Yud and Eser is a very high union. It's an Eser Spheres, and the Yud is the Plemius, it's the Chochma, and everything else is associated with Yud. So because of, but here, if the letters are reversed, it becomes exactly the opposite. The Vi is weakness, and Eris is like a deathbed or something. So now, because of the haskalah, if the weak person now is able to come out of this to the level where he's basically as a level of intellectual understanding of what's going on, he's a certain hisoidus, he has a certain awakening. So then all of a sudden things get switched around, so that now the ora chachma, the light of understanding, of wisdom, penetrates there into Bina, which is Bina is the idea of Yud. Chachma is Yud Chachma. So he says that the Bina has 50 gates, which is the 50 gates, the Shar Hanun, the gates. So that's the Ora Chachma. So at the time when this 50th level of understanding, that the Olam Bina now has been that a level has been taken away from that. So now we're only left with 49 gates of understanding instead of the 50 gates that it's supposed to be. So now it goes it goes down from the Mem Teshari Bina, and it makes the person. It goes down to the 49 levels of Bina instead of the 50 levels of Bina, which would be complete. So now that causes the person to become sick. That's what's going on when the person is sick, is he's going on down from the 50th level to the 49th level. So that's and the Choila, he says, is the gematria of Memtes. 49 is the gematria of Choila, which is sick. So when he's gone down from the 50th level to the 49th level, we think of 49th level as being very, very high. It's still a Yerida. It's going down from the 50th level. So that's the idea that it becomes that he's like laid up. He's in a very bad compromised situation, and he needs but he's going to now take from the Ora Chachma down into Bina. He's going to be mashpia from the light of Chachma into Bina, and that will bring the refuah. So now the refuah is to get him back up from the 49th level up to the 50th level. So that's Chafachta B'Cholio, that he's going to reverse the sickness and bring him back to health. That's why this particular kapitel is one of the kapitals we say when a person is ill, when he's sick. This is one of the ones we say. Ani omarti Hashem choneini refuah nafshi k'chatosi lach. Okay, so that brings, now what's the idea of bringing chachma to a person who's ill? Is that he becomes aware now that it was his fault. He becomes aware that he has to do tshuva. So when a person is ill, very often they're just thinking they're feeling sorry for themselves, or they're just concentrating on the illness itself, and they don't have a clear mind to be able to think about it. But really, the whole tachlis, the whole reason why the person got sick to begin with, is that he should become aware of the fact that he has to do tshuva. So now, through the illness itself, he's become now enlightened to that necessity of doing tshuva, and therefore that's the beginning of the refuah, is when he believes, when he understands it. So then Hashem koneni. So now he's calling out to Hashem. I said to Hashem, have mercy on me. Bring this refuah nafshi k'tasi lach. Bring a refuah. Bring me this healing, because I realize that I sinned to you. I did something against you. So now this is so. So he says that's so. A marti is the lushan of ani, is the sort of malchus. Malchus is the shechina. Okay, so that's the lushan of ani, and the omarti is the sort of kiddushin. So Hashem is their anpin. Hashem is the other midas, right? The 7 midas. Nikdashti, or the 6 midas anyway. Nikdashti Lashem is their anpin. So I have a kiddushin, I have a connection to Hashem, like a kiddushin, like being married. Avakesh choneini. So I ask choneini. I'm asking, have mercy on me. Titen li chein v'rafia. Give me, this chein and a healing. That because I'm like a sick person because of all this, the tsuris, all of the suffering of the golus, and even though it's it says it's a tiny to Hashem. In other words, a person is supposed to come to a certain level where he can actually, say to Hashem, look, this isn't right. What's going on? Appeal to Hashem on the basis of this. Something's wrong here. Something is not like it's supposed to be. So he's saying that from mitzad hadin, a person has to heal his wife, right? A husband has to heal his wife. He's required to heal his wife according to law, according to Jewish law. That's one of the responsibilities he takes upon himself when he gets married, is that he has to heal his wife.
Heal, a reform.
Yeah, right. So he says mitzad hadin. According to din, it's required that a husband should heal his wife. So he's saying here that the malchus, the feminine aspect, is calling out to Hashem and says, because of amarti, because of this kedushin, the Amiris is compared to the idea of kedushin, you are required, you're obligated to heal me, just as a husband is required to heal his wife before nafshi. So now you have to heal me because of the fact that you have there's this masculine feminine relationship. There's this idea of kedushin between Hashem and Klal Yisrael. Or the Shechina. So even though I sinned against you, you're still mechuyev. You're required, by law, to heal your wife. So then take me out of Golis, and take the tzuras of the Golis. So I'm asking that you should do that, and you should take me out of the Golis altogether. And then, so this is the hitznatzlis. This is the taina, the claim that Malchus, which is the Shechina, has on Hashem, that he should rescue her. That's because Hashem is like the Zerampin, and the Shechina is a husband and wife relationship. So it's like the wife is appealing to the husband. Look, al pi din, according to law, you have to heal me. You have to provide for pay my doctor bills. Okay. Okay, so now he's going to the other side. The enemies, though, are saying, it's that they want to do me damage. They want to put me away. So they're asking, when is Ziliori going to die, and then his name will be wiped out. Okay, so it's talking about so the Sitra Achra. So he says here an interesting thing. He says that the Sitra Achra, the negative side, is attempting to make a show that they're actually consoling the Yidden or the Shechina, and they're talking good, but really it's Shav Yadaber Libo. That really he's being deceptive here. He's not really intending to say anything positive. So and it's talking about the five Patsufim Atzameim. There's this the succeeding verses are talking about these five aspects of negativity or tuma, impurity. There are five of these patsufim, calls them. The first one is Shav Yadaber Liboy, which is like the falseness will speak in his heart. The second one is Habina the Sitra Achra, which is the aim of the Sitra Achra is called Oven. So Yetzel Lechitz Daber, it's going out to speak, is like also a negative lashon. The third one is Yachad Alai V'Slach Shekol Tzvona Alai Yachad Ru'oli. It's another aspect of Abba the Sitra Achra. All these are different aspects of Sitra Achra, and they're all negative. The Chitz, because they're called negative and external and all these things that they're not on the inside. And Abba Ve'eva is all Yislachshi, Kol Sonai Alai. It's talking in general. This whole thing is this whole. Few psukim here are talking about negative aspects, about enemies trying to put me down. This falseness, they're going to speak falsely. Libo yikpotzoven lo yetzi lechitz yadaber. They're going to go outside to talk about me. There's all kinds of negative stuff going on here about the Sitra Achra trying to bring down the Yidden. and bring all kinds of complaints about the Yidden, and Tainas and Kitcher. Yachad alai lislachshi kol sonai. All my enemies are whispering about me. Ula yachshi ruali. They're all looking to do evil to me. Even quietly, they're like whispering among themselves, but they're trying to tell a lashon hara about me, whatever. So then he says, Blial Yutzig boy. Blial is really talking about the negative, evil forces that are trying to get me, so to speak. Let's see, what is that? So he's trying to get him to the point where he's going to be laid up and he's not going to get up again. So even someone that I was depending on, that I thought was my friend and I thought he was going to do good for me, and he's also turned against me. He's like, he's trying to bring down to the lowest levels, Malshinas. They're telling, like the whole idea of the Kitrig is talking Lashon Hara about Klal Yisrael. Instead of something that's supposed to be moichin of godless, the intellect is supposed to be saying good things and bringing the core of the whole idea of rachamim and compassion, and now it's been turned into dinim and a force of punishment and that kind of thing. So instead of being godless, instead of being like on the top level of clear intellect and inspiration and all that kind of thing, it got reversed. The idea of akev of the dinim, which are on the heels. Okay, so Yidalav ve'ato Hashem choneni v'akimeni v'asham u'lohem. So we're calling out to Hashem, we're appealing to Hashem, to you Hashem, choneni, take have rachmanis, have compassion on me, and raise me up, from my deathbed or whatever, from this illness. V'asham u'lohem, and I'm going to pay them. I'm going to pay them for what they're doing to me.
Pay them positively or revenge?
No, revenge. I mean, get rid of them. Whatever. I'll show them. So he says that I'm going to give me the chen, which is gematria oizen. So chen is in a favor, and gematria oizen is the ear, which is the idea of the moichin de emetz, the emetz bina. It's the intellect of bina, whatever. This is the main, my main chayas, my main life force, and it's to really enliven me again, like give me a new lease on life, like a Tchias Mason kind of thing. He's really going to revive him, and rise me up, because of the chayas and the moichin. Really means that instead of this level of darkness and despair and generally total, just being covered over by all these surahs, right? So he's appealing to Hashem to send the light, to raise me up and give me this chayas that I get from this intellectual chayas, that we should have a clear mind. Hashem lehem, and I will pay them. Like I'll get my revenge on them, or whatever. I'll pay them for what they're doing to me. So he says the whole drusha here because in this I'll know that you want me, that I'm in your favor, that you have favor, you look at me favorably, that you will not allow my enemies to come to do evil to me. So he says, because the Seder Olam is that a person that has a servant, and that servant tells Lashon Hara about him, right? He's telling bad things about him in front of his master, right? That he's not doing the avoida like he's supposed to do, right? There's some kind of some person that's telling Lashon Hara on him to his master, so that he's a ganef and he's various things that he's doing wrong, right? So if it turns out that there's something true about this Lashon Hara that he was saying about him, so then the servant, this Eved, is not able to come in front of his master, and also the master doesn't want to even look at him because he's just an Eved, he's a slave, and somebody's telling bad things about him and how he did this wrong and that wrong. So he's not going to even want to come close to his. The master not going to even want to take a look at him, and even if the master, okay, and the master. And even if you would give the master everything, so he's not going to want to. He's not going to want to even look at him because he can't be soivel these bad things that the servant did. Because it's a very ugly thing, and this is it's not a good thing. You just can't tolerate it. But on the other hand, if you're telling some lashon hara about a child in front of his father, I'm sorry, I just saw all these things here. I just saw all this stuff scattered. Let's put it over the table. Okay, so that's what we're talking about a servant, a slave in front of his master. That's one thing. So somebody says bad things about him, so the master's probably going to believe it, or there's no reason not to believe it, whatever. And then it's going to be he's not going to want to look at the servant. But if on the other hand, he is you're talking about a son to his father, then all of a sudden, all of these this lashon hara that you're saying about the son is not going to be poisoned the son to the father. Because the father is always going to want to be lamatzchis. He's going to try to find a positive aspect to his son. 41. Okay. Pasuk. Oh yeah, Yud Aleph, 11. Okay, so even if so he's not going to. So we're contrasting the two things. We're saying if this person tells lashon hara to the master about his slave, so the master's not even going to look at his slave. He has no connection to him that's going to make him want to look favorably on him. He's probably most likely going to believe it. But on the other hand, if he tells him something about his son, then he's going to not want to believe it. He's going to do everything possible not to believe it, and he can't poison the son in front of the father. The father's never going to become disgusted with his son because of something he tells about him. If there's something wrong, then he's going to try to fix it, or he's trying to figure out what's behind it. But he's not going to get rid of him altogether because the son wants to that he doesn't want to accept that lashon hara on his son. So he's always going to try to find a limit schis that he can say something that's going to exonerate his son, because the father always wants to be able to protect his son from people who are coming up against him. So it's really the difference. The master is not invested in his slave to that extent. On the contrary, if he thinks the slave is out to get him, then he's going to want to get rid of him, or he's going to want to punish him. But with a child, someone's telling something bad about his own child, he's going to say, no, it's probably got it wrong, he's okay, there's a reason for it, whatever. So he doesn't want to accept it. So and also somebody who loves his wife, for example, very much. So people come and tell lashon hara to him about his wife, the wife in front of the husband. So they can't do anything about it because he's already noita. He's much more prepared to, assuming he's getting along with the wife, he's much more prepared to be choshid that the guy who's telling the lashon hara it's only lashon hara and to believe his wife as opposed to the other way around. So that's why, in this case, so the malchus, the level of malchus, which is associated with Klal Yisrael, the Shechina, is going before Zeranpin, the Kitchabrichi, the husband figure, so to speak, and is going to want to bring down the Chaim, the Moichin, the Ema, this Bina, this understanding, and raise her up from the dirt, from the ground. It shouldn't have to be. It shouldn't be so low, and then and get the roots, and that the favor of the father should be on his children. and therefore to get rid of the enemies instead. So in other words, he's turning it around. So if the enemy is coming to say lashon hara on the children, then the mother is going to try to get the father to look favorably on the children again and turn the whole thing around. Instead, get angry on the person who was saying lashon hara. So this is the whole way of getting rid of the klippas. So we turn the whole situation around, and then he's going to be favorable to his wife again. And so it says V'ani b'simi tamachti v'zois yudati ki chofatz bi. So if we turn it around and now all of a sudden he revives the sick person, then I'll know, he says, that you wanted me, that you were favorable to me. Ki lo yuri oivi olai, because you're not allowing the enemies to get down on me. In other words, you're not putting me in the hands of these enemies who are talking lashon hara about me, because you're not listening to the lashon hara, and instead you're having rachmanis on me instead. So now I know that you're favorable to me instead, that you want me, that you're interested in me, that you care about my welfare. So instead of listening to the lashon hara, they're telling me about me. Now you turn it around and you listen to my appeal, and you allow me to take revenge on them. So that's what he said before. He said. I'm gonna get even with them. In other words, we're going to put them down. There's a war going on. We've said this many times. There's the kitrig, all of the complaints that the Sitra Achra brings against the Yidden to get Hashem to reject the Yidden, and then the Yidden are on the other side appealing, even from a level of being very vulnerable, and even this being weak and sick and everything else. And we're on the bottom, we're appealing back to Hashem and telling Hashem, don't listen to them. You have Rachmanis on me. And after all, you have, and like we said before, he has this obligation. The husband has an obligation to heal his wife. So if I'm in this very vulnerable position, so that's why. The Yidden generally in Tfilis take the standard the standard of the weak person. We're appealing to Hashem for Rachmanis. We're not saying, we're saying I'm right and he's wrong. We're not saying don't listen to him, because on the contrary, we're saying I know I've done bad things. I know that I'm vulnerable. I know that this and that. But still, you have it because of our commitment. Your commitment to me. You have an obligation to heal me, to rise me up, and don't listen to them. And they're only out to get me anyway. So listen to me instead. And have Rachmanis. So we're not coming from a position of strength, of power, and saying on the contrary, we're being vulnerable. We're inviting the Rachmanis of Hashem, the compassion. We're appealing to the compassion of Hashem. I know I'm not perfect. I know I'm not everything right. But you don't want to listen to them. They're just out to get me. Which is really what's happening. Umas Oilam are always saying terrible things about the Jewish people. But it's not because, even if some of it is true, even if sometimes it is true to some extent, it's not because they're looking out for Hashem's best interests. It's just because they're jealous, or they want to take our money, or they want to whatever they want to get us in some way because they have this thing against us, or they simply want to take our position. They want to be on top instead of feeling inferior in any way. So it's inevitable that they're going to bring these complaints. So we're saying to Hashem, look, choose who are you closer to here. Who are you going to believe, and who do you really want? Whose relationship do you value more? You want to have these malachim around that are constantly trying to get rid of me, or do you want to repair a relationship, raise me up? Because the whole thing is that's only when we admit our vulnerability. Because that's why it's so important for us to admit, we're not perfect, and we've done this wrong, we've done that wrong, and when a person comes, the Olay Tachanan, and the Filas Apayim, and all these things, we realize we're not perfect, we realize we've done a lot to the things wrong, but still, have Rachmanis. We have this relationship, which you don't have the relationship, that kind of relationship with God. So, have Rachmanis. V'ani b'simi tomachtabi. So it goes on to the Yisoid, which is called Tumim. Says, so I have, V'ani b'simi tomachtabi is like, I am depending on you. It says a Vesila. So the mouth is Maka, to Machta is Makas. He says that it's like it's an appeal for this idea of zivig. So it's a complicated pasuk here. Ani is Malchus. So he is Malchus. That's the Shechina again. So that's called Oni. The Simi, that I'm trying to be connected to the idea of Yesod Zaranpin, which is this connection to Hashem, and Tamach to be is that's the meaning of Tamach to is Makas. Like this is that's in Veni Lefonechel Oilam. And you should raise me up, to stand me up in front of you, the Oilam. So that's the meaning of Punim B'Punim. So we're always trying to get back to this concept of Punim B'Punim. So still now we're laid up, we're horizontal. We want to be vertical. We want to be face to face with Hashem, Punim B'Punim. So raise me up until I'm Punim B'Punim with you again. And that's the idea of the Oilam, which is the koimas zeran. It's the idea of being in a full stature. So it's always the midas are sometimes laid up. The whole idea of laying down is of weakness in a sense because everything's collapsed. It's all on the low. It's also all on the bottom. But when standing up vertically, then this idea of this hierarchy of the midas, and then even though Malchus is the lowest level, you can go up to the highest level, and you can get this idea of face to face. But as long as it's like just collapsed, then there's nothing to do with it. So they say, so that's kind of, this is the sense of pasuk that's associated to the end of the whole sefer. You always have this omen v'omen at the end, as a final pasuk of the first sefer Tehillim. But here he says that it's that you're talking about it's like Abba Lua, the Chachma has the aspect of Yesod, which is called Burech Hashem, and Elokei Shel Yisur Saba, Mashpia Ma'olam, that Ema. So he's talking about everything should be repaired to the point where now everything's in line, and now the father and the mother, the Chachma and Bina, are being mashpia, and it's going down to the Ad Oilam, to the Zeranpin. This idea of the intellect, the higher spheres of wisdom are giving over to the whole Zeranpin, which is this whole line of the six spheres, and down to finally to Malchus, and that's Omen is Rachel and Leah, and as a whole, everything should be good. Everything should be complete and repaired, and all these relationships should go right. So now then it's Yaakov and Leah and Rachel, and the whole thing. It should be an idea of a zivig, and it's got a shmei rabba. So it ends up in a positive note. So on a very, very low note of sickness and enemies and all this stuff, it ends up it can all still be repaired, and Mashiach will come.
Regarding his wording. I'm going to pay them back. Radak observes that David threatened to repay their evil measure for measure. He awaits the moment when they are sick, when he will hurt them by showing no concern for their misery. Many commentators are troubled by this uncharacteristic and inappropriate vengefulness. However, the Sforno explains that as king, David was required to act in an unforgiving fashion. The Talmud severely criticizes his predecessor Shaul HaMelech for being unconcerned over the preservation of his own honor.
Right, and also with Agag, because he had Rahmanas and Agag. That's all the problems.
As the Pasuk says, they degraded him and brought him no gifts, and he made himself mute.
Shaul HaMelech.
Yeah. This was one of the reasons why Shaul was eventually removed from the throne. For a king's dignity is not his personal concern, but a reflection of his national honor.
Exactly.
National honor.
Yeah. He has to look down himself. So even though he himself may be a very modest, humble person, but he represents the whole nation, and he has to take his honor seriously, because it's honor of Hashem ultimately. If he's put down, then it's like putting down Hashem.
Interesting.
Salute the rank, not the man. That's right. That's right. Transvaal Scottish.